Okay, so picture this. You're Tatsuki Fujimoto's, the creator of Chainsaw Man's 2019 end of the year party. This is a big gathering with all of his past assistants and current staff. So off to the side, you see the creator of Spy Family, Tatsuya Endo, in the corner making Anya-like faces. Or Yukikaku holding his head high from all the recent success for his series Hell's Paradise. But then, you see this one Japanese man just take all the life out of the party. I want to quit making manga. You learn this dejected man is Yukinobu Tatsu, one of Fujimoto's favorite assistants and someone that's trying to break into the mangaka market for close to a decade. Despite giving his all, it seems like luck isn't in his cards. Fujimoto stops levitating to go talk to his troubled pupil, but just before he does that, a radiating figure swoops in. The god editor of Jump Plus, Shihei Lin, gave Tatsu the perfect advice in that very moment. Why don't you try drawing freely without thinking about anything? That, my friends, is how Dandadan manga came to be. But before we talk about the work that captured the hearts of millions around the world, let's dive into the story of hope and perseverance of the very man who stole Ken Takakura's balls. Yukinobu Tatsu's origin story had the makings of a lot of well-known mangakas. He was good at drawing from an early age, but never really considered becoming a manga creator himself. While working part-time at a convenience store, he would draw pictures on the back of different receipts. The store manager saw these drawings and instead of chastising him, he asked Tatsu if he ever considered becoming a mangaka. It was from this single interaction that spurred Tatsu to start this whole journey. The only problem? He never attended any art or manga school, so he didn't even know how to become a mangaka. So he did what most crazy bastards did during that time, which is to show up at a publisher of your choice with hundreds of your own drawings. At that time, Tatsu was obsessed with Gundam, so he showed up to Gundam Ace offices with hundreds of drawings of Gundam manga. The people he ran into criticized him harshly for showing up unannounced. But this bold move did pay off because from there on, he was formally invited as an assistant because they were impressed with his drawings. Once Tatsu became an assistant, he pretty much got the ass beating of a lifetime. He would draw manga from 10 AM until about 5 AM the next morning. Obviously, he didn't have enough time to go all the way back home, so he slept right next to the copy machine. The only issue, when he would go to sleep, that's when the other assistants would come into the office and the copy machine will be going at full speed. It was so noisy, he barely got any sleep. However, because Tatsu-sensei never had any formal manga training, this was his education. For 3 years, he was able to learn everything about this art craft from the ground up, and especially being exposed to other senpais much better at drawing than him, this was all a very invaluable experience. Finally, at age 25, Sensei had his first serialization moment with Seigi no Rokugo, a monthly shonen magazine series focused on a boy that combines with a robot entrusted to him by his older brother. Sadly, it was only cancelled within a year, and 2 years later he serialized a different work called Fireball, which too got axed after about a year and a half. He absolutely did not get along with his editor during that time, so he got paired with Shihei Lin in January 2015. Yup, that legendary editor that propped up series like Chainsaw Man, Spy Family, Hell's Paradise, and many others. But Tatsu, on the other hand, did not get a taste of that commercial success. Instead, he entered his wilderness years. For several years, countless serialization ideas got scrapped. A Beastman project? Oh god. Imagine Tatsu-sensei creating Beastars with a Dandadan twist? Bruh, that would actually be pretty fire. A robot project got scrapped. Even a Chinese hopping vampire series got scrapped as well. To stay afloat during that time, Tatsu became an assistant to an up-and-coming mangaka named Tatsuki Fujimoto. He was starting a new series called Fire Punch. During this time, Yuji Kaku was a regular assistant, and Endo Tatsuya was also there to help out. After 2 series getting axed and years of rejection, Tatsu-san crashed out at the 2019 Fujimoto end of the year party. To give you some extra context, summer of 2019, Tatsu submitted a work about Jiangxi, but sadly, this proposal got rejected. Mind you, this was coming off a string of prior rejections, so both Tatsu and Shihei Lin were outraged and kept saying, "Why? This doesn't make sense." Tatsu personally just angrily kept saying, "No one will understand." He was straight up defeated. He was done with manga. So fast forward to December 2019 at Fujimoto's party, it was very likely that Tatsu-sensei didn't want to be there. He probably felt suffocated by the very fact that all of Fujimoto's assistants were creating smash hits and celebrating about that at that very party. Yukinobu Tatsu, on the other hand, was completely dejected. When will it be my turn? I gave this everything. I spent 10 years trying to break into this market. That's where Shihei Lin's words of comfort pierced his very soul. Why don't you try drawing freely without thinking about anything? Shihei later shared that up to that point, he kept telling Tatsu things like, "Let's think about it this way," or "How about you do it this way?" With that restrictive mindset, Tatsu lost the very thing that is the essence of all manga creators: the freedom of expression, the freedom to draw without any restriction, the freedom to tell the story you want. After that party and heeding to the advice of his editor, Tatsu decided to give this manga thing one last try. He didn't know where to start, so he turned to his notebook of ideas, and within that notebook, he comes across the single line. The movie Sadako vs. Kayako is interesting. Instantly, Tatsu remembered a scene from the movie where the character Tokiwa Kaizo saying, "You fight monsters with monsters." With no plot in mind and digesting on the Sadako vs. Kayako note, he drew the storyboard right away. He was able to draw quickly because he was drawing freely and submitted a Neimu on January 2020. From there, the baton was passed on to Shihei. The serialization meeting itself happened during the spring 2020 season, and Jump Plus gave the green light to start serialization of Dandadan on April 2021. When Tatsu got that notification, he was overjoyed and thought, "Finally, I can start." He helped Fujimoto wrap up the ending to Chainsaw Man Season 1, and helped Kaku-sensei wrap up the ending to Hell's Paradise. Once he tied up any loose ends, he proceeded to create the first 3 chapters of Dandadan. The night before chapter 1 dropped, Tatsu recalls not being able to sleep and his hands were cold. "I had my series canceled twice before, so that may have had a big impact on me. I'm always worried and wondering, when will my series be canceled?" Well shit, Sensei no longer gotta worry about that. When chapter 1 dropped on April 6, 2021, it broke Japanese Twitter. Chapter 1 surpassed 1 million page views in just 2 days. The consecutive 3 chapters of the series all achieved 1 million page views within 1 week of release, which was a first in Jump Plus history. Jump to December 2024, Dandadan physical copies have exceeded 5 million copies and over 360 million views on Shonen Jump Plus platforms as of November 2023. Yukinobu Tatsu is no longer in the wilderness. I want to keep drawing manga forever. My goal is to have as many people as possible love my work and become a long-standing manga artist. Because Dandadan is entertainment, I want to end it by showing readers hope. That's the most important thing.